that talks about these advantages of this free enterprise system. That is what is takes place in United States and different places. Now, the objective of this class is to explain why the United States is considered to have a capitalist or free enterprise system for excellence, and to analyze how the profit motive and competition help to market the free enterprise system work. Now, you have already the documents that you need to do, that you need to have it in order. Well, you have your books, sorry. The ones who doesn't have the books, I just load up the pages and everything that you need to study for your test or in order to complete your assignment, which are the vocabulary and the assessment questions. Okay, guys. Now let's over here I load up 4 videos that talks about this topic, that is the free enterprise. Okay, so I'm gonna 3 videos that talks about and explain what an enterprise system is. Okay, first of all, let me ready over here.
When you hear the words free enterprise or capitalism or free markets, what's the first thought that comes into your head? For just about everyone, it would have to do with making money. But there's another side to free enterprise that's actually more important. Free enterprise matters not just because of its unparalleled material benefits, but because of its unparalleled moral benefits. Now, this might seem counterintuitive to you, especially if you've been spending a lot of time hanging around college professors. For decades, so many of them have preached that free enterprise is mostly about selfishness and greed. But after the fall of the Soviet Union and communism was repudiated, even the left grudgingly acknowledged the utility of free enterprise, but only as a necessary evil. Sure, they said, free enterprise benefits us materially, but the cost isn't worth it. People become too materialistic. Corporations become too powerful. Profits are corrupting, and there's just too much material inequality. Is that a fair assessment? No, it isn't, and here's why. Free enterprise is not just materially fulfilling, it's a moral imperative. One big reason is that only free enterprise enables us to become truly happy, because it enables us to earn our success. Now, what do I mean by this? Earned success is the satisfaction and happiness that we derive from having dreams and working hard to achieve them. This is only possible in a system where rewards are based on earning them rather than having the right connections, and where you have to please customers and not politicians. Think about the things in your life that make you happy. It's probably your personal relationships, your family, and maybe your job. In other words, the things that represent hard work and personal virtue and achievement. Sure, we all want nice things, but if they're just given to us and we don't earn them, they don't really make us happy. You've probably thought what you'd do if you won the lottery, right? We've all played that game. Maybe you say you'd buy a big house, a new wardrobe, or take a great trip around the world. Maybe you do it all. The truth is, according to studies from researchers at the University of Michigan, you're actually more likely to be less happy after you win than before you bought the ticket. People who win the lottery typically buy a bunch of stuff they don't want, get new friends, some even become alcoholics. This hardly makes for a great Powerball ad campaign, but it's the truth. Why is this? For the same reason that your parents probably always taught you that money doesn't buy happiness. Still, critics on the left tell us that if we only had more equal incomes, we'd be a happier society. That's just not true. Happiness is earned, not given by others. Look at entrepreneurs. People who own their own businesses rate themselves as happier than just about any other job category. And why? What's their secret? It's not as if they're working short hours or making lots of money. Neither of these things are the case. Entrepreneurs earn 20% less than government managers on average. Rather, it's because their businesses allow them to earn their own success. It's this success that makes them happy, and this is really only possible through free enterprise. The government giving us stuff we didn't earn doesn't make us happy, and it's really that simple. Now, this insight is hardly one that I came up with. In fact, no one in my field of social science can claim credit for it. It was America's founding fathers who first put together happiness and earned success. You probably remember that the Declaration of Independence talks about the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Think about those words, pursuit of happiness. Our founders didn't say that you have the right to be happy, only that you have the right to pursue your happiness. And that's what free enterprise does and why it matters. Only free enterprise lets us decide what makes us happy and then go do it. The pursuit of happiness that's at the root of America's moral promise can only happen if we have the opportunity to earn our success. Happiness is not about materialism or government redistribution of wealth. It's about defining our lives and our goals and achieving happiness on our own terms. That's the moral promise of free enterprise. I'm Arthur Brooks, president of the American Enterprise Institute for Prager University.
Join Prager University, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and sign.
Okay, now let's watch the second video. As you see, let me tell you, being the owner of an enterprise or being the owner of your own business is not easy. But that depends only on you to decide that you want to have your own business. Okay, let's watch the second video, guys.
The Free Enterprise System by Nate Langenfeld and Matt Pearsall. What is free enterprise?
A free enterprise system is an economic system where a government places few restrictions on the types of business activities in which citizens partake in. Citizens have the freedom to choose how they spend their money through voluntary transactions.
Key components: private property, free market, profit and loss, limited government.
Private property means that you are in control of the money that you earn. As you contribute labor, you earn a salary that allows you to do with it as you please. Once you own your property, you can do whatever you want with it as long as it is legal.
Abraham Lincoln once said that private property is the result of hard work. Milton Friedman states that in an ideal free market resting on private property, no individual can coerce any other. All cooperation is voluntary. All parties to such cooperation benefit or they need not to participate.
What Milton Friedman meant by this quote was that no one can force anyone to do anything against their will, all transactions are voluntary, and if a party is receiving little to no benefit, it doesn't have to agree to the transaction.
In the free market, there are two main points: flexible wages and prices and competition. Flexible wages and prices are not fixed by force, but are arrived through voluntary contracts and are allowed to adjust to changing conditions. In competition, it is the rivalry between sellers trying to increase profits and market shares.
If businesses can raise or lower prices, it ensures that resources are channeled into their most highly valued uses. For example, if a grocer is selling perishable items that will expire soon, they lower the price to increase the demand. If the price wasn't able to be lowered, the items would go bad and create no value. Any mechanism that reduces waste will contribute to the well-being of society. Competition within a free market means that consumers are able to choose where they get their items at a reasonable price. No business is entitled to you as a customer, and this creates a constant battle between businesses to create the most value and retain the most customers. This is a never-ending process, and it is hard for companies to maintain a competitive advantage.
As George Reisman said about competition, the truth is that economic competition is very opposite of competition in the animal kingdom. It is not a competition in the grabbing off of scarce, nature-given supplies as it is in the animal kingdom. Rather, it is a competition in the positive creation of new and additional wealth. The profit and loss system looks at whether or not a business is earning a profit or not. To earn a profit, a business must create value in their goods or services. To gain a profit, they must produce more revenue than expenses.
For example, if a company is making subs, they will need the bread, cheese, ham, turkey, other meats, lettuce, tomatoes, condiments, and the employees to create the finished product. The company will need to create enough value in the sub so they can sell it at a price that gives the company more revenue than the cost of the inputs to create it.
The role of a limited government in a free enterprise system should be stay cost-effective, use force for defense purposes only, and provide rules and regulations for how we act. Government should also not unnecessarily tax its workers, and it should not abuse its power and provide comfort and safety to the individuals inside of it. Thomas Jefferson once said, "A wise and frugal government, which shall restrain men from injuring one another, shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own pursuits of industry and improvement, and shall not take from the mouth of the labor the bread it has earned. This is the sum of a good government.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, the government should be a defensive force that allows for free competition between individuals and businesses. The government should be a tool for people to use and not a tool to use against people. A limited government will allow pure competition in the market while protecting against monopolies. This provides the framework for a free enterprise system.
In review, we've learned the free enterprise system is comprised of four main components. Private property provides the incentive to be productive because you are able to enjoy the fruits of your own labor. The free market allows there to be flexible wages and prices for goods, as well as competitions within businesses to attract customers. Profit and loss shows how a company is able to make revenue if they're able to keep their expenses down and drive profit up. Limited government provides the rules and regulations for which we operate in. Without a limited government, we wouldn't be able to have a free enterprise system.
Very good. Now let's watch the last video. Now this is another segment that is, or another topic that is written in this chapter that talks about the emerging market. El mercado emergente. That's the term in Spanish. Let's watch what is a emerging market.
What does Indonesia have in common with countries like India, Brazil, and Russia? They're all classified as emerging markets. It's a term that originated in the 1980s and has stuck around since then. Two of the most important reasons why? Well, these countries are crucial when it comes to driving global economic growth. And their financial markets can be gold mines for investors, especially those with an appetite for higher risks. So, what makes an emerging market today, and why do investors have such a love-hate relationship with them? The term emerging markets was coined by World Bank employee Antoine van Atmaal. The finance arm of the World Bank wanted to get more foreign investment into third world countries, but didn't think the term third world really inspired investors. To make it sound more attractive, Van Atmaal coined the term emerging markets. But if you want a definitive list of emerging markets, good luck. The list varies depending on who you ask. The IMF classifies 96 countries as emerging. It uses criteria such as how much citizens of that country earn, how diverse the country's exports are, and how sophisticated its financial system is. That's one measure, but investment research firm MSCI, which creates stock indexes, classifies 24 countries as emerging markets. Okay, but what's an index? Essentially, it's a list of stocks that measure certain features. For example, if you want to look at how the biggest US companies are doing, you could look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which covers 30 household names. The MSCI is known for its Emerging Markets Index, which shows us how emerging countries like Brazil, China, and Turkey are doing. Unlike the IMF, the MSCI uses how investable a country's stock market is to determine whether it's an emerging market. That's important because this influences how much foreign investment a country can get. You may be wondering how such a diverse group of countries could possibly be grouped together. Despite their many differences, there are a few characteristics that they do tend to have in common. Let's take a look at the first one. The term emerging markets was initially used for developing countries, which meant that the average person living there tends to earn less than someone in a developed country. Economists call this a lower income per capita. But that's not always true today. Some countries like the United Arab Emirates and South Korea are considered emerging markets, but they have higher income per capita than some developed countries, like Spain and Portugal. An investor's goal is to make money. For that, you need growth. And emerging markets are known to do just that rapidly. Fast growth is our second characteristic. One report found that 1 out of every 4 emerging economies outperformed its peers and developed countries. Of these 18 outperformers, 7 exceeded annual per capita GDP growth of 3.5% for a 50-year period. They include China, South Korea, and Indonesia. The other 11, which include India, Ethiopia, and Cambodia, have enjoyed more recent gains, growing at about 5% or higher over the past 20 years. That's 3.5 percentage points above the US, and enough to lift themselves into a new income bracket for countries.
That growth comes with a lot of risk, and that brings us to our next characteristic: high volatility.
And if you need an example of volatility, just look at this. The MSCI index, which shows total returns, shows emerging markets had been doing pretty well until January 2018, when things began to sour.
We've seen their currencies fall to historic lows against the US dollar. That's bad news for countries trying to pay off their debt.
It's a problem because a lot of that debt is held in foreign currencies, particularly in the strengthening US dollar. That makes paying off debts an uphill battle. Not ideal when emerging markets have seen their total debt rise from $21 trillion in 2007 to $63 trillion in 2017. Emerging markets crises are worrying because they affect multiple countries and tend to work in a vicious cycle. First, the currency falls rapidly. Countries then struggle to raise funds due to their less mature capital markets, and investors flee. This affects the country's assets and currency, and can sometimes damage the country's banking system and even the economy.
It's important to note that an emerging market status can come and go.
That could mean a step up as a developed nation, or a step back as a frontier nation. Despite all the uncertainty, one thing is for sure. Investors will continue to watch emerging markets closely as the countries continue to expand their role in the global economy.
Hi everyone, it's Sinan. Thanks for watching. If you want to check out more of our videos,
No, I don't want to watch more videos. Okay. Okay, guys. So these are the topic that we are going to deal next week about the advantage of the free enterprise system, guys. Okay. Now remember, you need to complete vocabulary and also the assignment assigned for this topic. Okay, guys. Remember, I'm not gonna tell you when I'm gonna ask for those assessment and vocabulary. You have to have. Okay, guys. Do you have any questions? No questions.